Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to go over and break down, as you can see in the title, the Chris Skinner 2021 death investigation, or if that's what you want to call it, incident report and supplemental report. Now, some of you may say, well, Ann, we've already done this. Right. But in light of all that has come forward, witness statements, we've gone over the video, things that the deputy coroner has stated, the truth drips, all that has come out, believe it or not, will shed light on some of the portions that we've already read in the incident report and supplemental report. And I know that that's true because when I was reading it in the middle of the night last night or this morning, I was like, wow, okay. Well, maybe we need to go over this again. And so we're going to break it down. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to put it on the screen. I know it's difficult for you to see it, but I'm going to put it there because it does help with, you guys following along and looking at what I'm looking at, but I'm going to read it for you. And then we're going to talk about it. You might be amazed at what comes up out of these reports. Mind you, this is 2021, okay? This is when these things were written. So let's start off with the very first part of this incident report. Now, this is the first page. In this incident report, we have Susie Skinner as number 1 in regards to others involved. And number 2 would be Eric Tatro, which is the bald-headed guy we've all been looking at. Now, why is that important? It's come to my attention that Mr. Tatro was the guy who ran the media at Solid Rock Church. It also seems that there is a very, very close, intimate relationship between Mr. Tatro and Susie Skinner. Now, why is it important to bring up that Mr. Tatro was working media? Well, I know people that worked media in churches, large churches, small churches. And the significance of that is that they have to be tech savvy because most of these media, departments, what have you, in churches, those soundboards are digital. You have to have some sort of technological understanding to run those soundboards. So I want you to take that into consideration, okay, as we go on. But in this police report, it is Susie Skinner as number 1 and Eric Tatro, the bald guy, seemingly holding something that looks like a remote control, as number 2. All right. So let's move to the next one. Okay, so it says here on September, now this is a small excerpt of the narrative, we love that word, of the incident report. On September 6, 2021, at approximately 8:54, police officer, I guess, Leozi, whatever his name is, responded to 1145 Yorkshire Parkway, which is within the city limits of Myrtle Beach, in reference to a drowning. When I arrived on scene, I observed a wheelchair in the pool and began speaking to witnesses and family members. The victim was transported by medics to the hospital, and Sergeant Gibson was notified there is nothing further at this time. Now, began speaking to witnesses and family members. I want you to know that I was able to get a full FOIA of this death investigation. Now, I got a text message. I actually got a copy of all of the witnesses that spoke earlier this year. I got this incident report, supplemental report. I got video of the guy standing by the gate, taking pictures and videos for whatever reason. I got of Chris, going into the pool naturally. But I didn't get these witnesses' statements at all. Nothing. There was nothing. And what family members, plural, were there that was there? Susie, that's one person. Remember, she told them there was no other family in the area. Now you may say, oh, Anne, that's insignificant. No, it's not. No, it's not. Stay with me. Stay with me. All right, let's get to number 2. All right. Okay, so this is the supplemental report. Now, I know I've read this to you before, but we're going to go over this again. On September 6, 2021, I responded to the community pool at 1145 Yorkshire Parkway in the city of Myrtle Beach for the report of a male subject drowning in the pool. Upon arrival, Myrtle Beach Fire Department personnel had already extracted the male victim from the pool and were performing CPR. While MBFD was tending to the victim, I began to separate witnesses. Now, allegedly, these are the 4 people that were there, from onlookers and evacuate the people who were not pertinent to the scene. I notified MBPD Sergeant Gibson of the situation, and he notified Detective Sawid, whatever, and crime scene investigator RAA Schaefer, who arrived on scene to perform their investigations. I was able to identify 4 witnesses who all reported that they arrived at approximately, now it's 8:30 to 8:40, the morning of the date above, and noticed an object in the pool, which they thought was a float or toy left in the pool by one of the kids or community members the night before. They reported that when they looked closer, they realized it was one of their community members they knew to be the victim, Skinner Christopher. One of the witnesses, Nancy Norris, immediately called 911. MBFD ambulance arrived and began to get the victim loaded for transport to GSR. At that time, the victim's wife arrived on scene and positively identified the victim's identity. The victim was then loaded and transported. MBPD officer Loisy arrived on scene and began interviewing the victim's wife, as well as other people on scene to get more information. Due to her background training for drowning incidents, Officer Loisy took over as the primary unit in this case. Okay. Stick with me, people. Trust the process. Okay, that was number 2. So let's move on to number 3. Now, this is the investigator, Sawid, whatever that last name is. Received a phone call from Sergeant Gibson in reference to a 10-7 drowning. Arrived on scene and was advised by the fire department that the victim had been transported to the hospital. The victim was wheelchair bound and had been paralyzed for 21 years and only has use of his neck muscles and biceps. I spoke with the wife of the victim, who advised that his daily routine consists of going to the pool every morning and that nothing was unusual this morning and that he wasn't suicidal. I reviewed, now remember this, I reviewed video surveillance, which is motion activated. The victim makes entry into the pool with his dog, and then at 7:56, his wheelchair is seen moving toward the water, and then the victim falls in along with his wheelchair, which he is strapped to, and is seen attempting to pull his head up. The victim is underwater for over 40 minutes before someone locates him and calls it in. I responded to GSR, where I was advised that the victim was on life support, but that he had no brain function. Now, let me stop there for 1 minute. So there's footage of him going from where he was waiting at the chess table to where we see him. Where's that footage? Why wasn't it part of my FOIA? Why was that kept out of the FOIA information that I requested? I requested all of it. I wanted everything pertaining to the Chris Skinner death investigation. Why was that footage not there? She saw it. She claims she sees it. That's number one. Number two, we know now that Chris was sitting upwards. Why? This is confirmed. If he's lifting his head, she's claiming she's seeing this in the video footage, to gasp for air. He was trying to get air. This is not a person looking to take his life. Why didn't he just press the button to make himself stand up? Because he couldn't. Because the chair was overridden. Now, why wouldn't they use the app and the remote control that comes with the chair? Because someone who has technological advanced understanding would know that that data would be kept within the brain of that chair if they use the actual app that comes with the chair. So what other option is there? As I've said from the very beginning, people, hacking. They'd have to hack it. Let me go forward. I spoke to Eric Tatro. Eric, who is the neighbor of the victim, stated that the victim called over to him and asked him if he had a key card to get into the pool, and he let him in. He advised that the victim told him that he was meeting someone at the pool to play chess with. So Chris was going there to meet somebody. We already know that. Let me get to where it was. Be advised that he was unaware who this person was, and to his knowledge, there was no one at the pool. I reviewed video footage and observed the victim go into the pool at around 7:52 and make his way towards the back where the chessboard is. Where's that footage? She sees it. She says she sees it. Where is that footage? The camera cuts off due to motion activation at 7:56. The victim is seen making his way toward the pool area. So there's footage showing him going from where the chessboard is to where we see him, as I stated already. Roundabout where he is observed going into the pool with his wheelchair, which he was strapped to. The victim is observed attempting to pull his head up, but is unable to do so. The victim is underwater for about 40 minutes before paramedics arrive on the scene to render aid. Once again, the victim is transported to GSR and life-saving measures were performed. The victim was on a ventilator but had no brain activity. The wife of the victim advised that he had, DNR paperwork, her and her DNR. The victim's belongings were transported to the police department and dropped as evidence and eligible to be released to the family. The victim's belongings were released to a Robert Raff, who is the victim's friend, and it was relieved per the victim's wife. Okay. So this is number 3. So let's get to number 4. Oops. Sorry. Number 4. Here we go. All right. Now, can you guys see that? Just let me know if you can see it, because my browser's acting stupid today. Please just give me a 1, anybody, if you can see this document. Anybody? A number 1. Thank you. That's all I needed. Just one of you. Thank you, guys. I know that YouTube is slow. Okay. So this is now Loisy again. And if I'm repeating myself, there's really good reason for it. Okay, guys, thank you. Thank you for your 1s. You're awesome. When I arrived on scene, the fire department was doing CPR on the victim and getting him ready for transport. Involved other one. So number one is, remember, Susie had approached me saying the victim had a do not resuscitate. That's what that black is. The victim had done during a trip to Virginia. I had asked involved other one, Susie, if she could supply us with the paperwork. When involved other or Susie came back, she did not have a form filled out for a DNR. Involved other, which would be Eric Tatro, stated that he was in the area of the pool when he saw the victim out for his normal tour around the neighborhood. Now, let's stop there. Normal tour around the neighborhood. That means that anybody that would be looking to remove him from the earth would know that this is something that he does every morning. If we want to be able to do this to Chris, then we got to think about what is his routine. And this was his routine. And it was very easy to get him to go there to meet to play chess because he was going to be there anyway. Let's also take into consideration, per Susie's words, that she did not give him his medication the night before, and he'd been up all night, but instead gave it to him that morning, which would have helped him be a little loopy and sleepy, which would also help with remote controlling him into the chair. Okay? Because then we can use that as a reason, but it would also help in him not being able to save himself in any way. Or maybe she just saw it as being humane by giving him that medication. I don't know. But I really believe that he was given that medication in the morning rather than the night before for that reason. Okay. When saw the victim out for his normal tour around the neighborhood, and Eric says the victim approached him about opening up the door to the pool for him to enter because he was going to be playing chess with someone. Eric used his key card to open the door to let the victim in. Eric did not follow. The detective was notified and responded to the scene. Sergeant Gibson notified crime scene to respond as well. During that time, before they arrived, someone with the HOA who has access to the cameras arrived on scene, and we were able to view them. So we don't know, Veronica, whatever the meds were, he was supposed to take it the night before, and it was supposed to help him sleep. That's why he was up. Okay, the camera shows the victim entering into the pool area and going over to the area where the chess sets are. The victim is then seen with his dog leaving that area and driving around the pool. The victim then stops at a curve in the pool and then suddenly moves quickly forward and goes into the water. Let's stop. So here's somebody using a remote, okay? And this is maybe the first time they've ever been able to control the chair. So they're going to make the chair go around. This is why we don't see this footage, because this footage is probably showing Chris freaking out trying to control that chair, but they don't want to see that. The feds see it, though, by the way. So here they are getting him to go around the pool, probably trying to figure out where to put him in. And then they finally get him to the spot where we see him. And according to this, then he goes fast forward into the pool. Let me read it again. The victim then stops at a curve in the pool and then suddenly moves quickly forward and goes into the water. The victim is seen lifting his head up a few times before the camera cuts to a different time. How convenient. The camera then shows the fire department responding. The victim is on camera going into the pool at 7:56. Then a member of the fire department jumps in at 8:56. There was no one else in the pool area at the time of the incident. PFC Schaefer arrived on scene to make a copy of the camera footage. Okay, well, PFC Schaefer, where's all the footage? Where is it? Where's the footage of him going around the pool? Where's the footage of him going towards the chess sets? Where's the footage of him leaving the chess set area? Detective requested the wheelchair be placed into property and evidence for the family to come and retrieve it. The wheelchair was transported to the police department and placed into property and evidence along with a black backpack that was with the wheelchair. Battalion Chief Mitchell stated he would make the call to DHEC in reference to this incident. There is nothing further at this time. So the wheelchair is donated shortly after. If in fact this is the wheelchair that's A, waterproof, B, able to stand up, and C, here's Chris, now twice it's been said that he was trying to lift his head above water. Why was he unable to press that button and make that chair stand up straight? Anybody? Because it was being overridden by a remote control. And not the remote control that comes with the chair. That would make no sense, because only somebody who is technologically savvy would know, and I'm repeating myself, that that data would be found within that system, because the app, it would be found within the app. It would be found that that remote was used to move him around that pool and to throw him into the water. It would make no sense to use that system. You would have to hack it. Okay, that was number 4, if I'm not mistaken. I think there's a number 5. No. We covered it all, ladies and gentlemen. So let's break this down for a second, okay? So she chooses to give him this medication not the night before. She acknowledges in her interview that he had been up all night, that he didn't sleep, because she's trying to push the narrative that he fell asleep in the chair, giving him the medication that morning. So, of course, if you want to say it's an accident, the best thing to do is to say that in case they take blood. Because if they take blood, then they'll be able to say, oh, yeah, he was tired, he pushed the button, he fell into the water. Okay, well, how does that explain him going around the pool? How does that explain him going towards the chess set? See, I'm sorry, but if I'm going to take my life, I'm not going to go, well, let me play a game of chess first, then I'm going to go kill myself. What? Hi, I'm here to meet up with somebody to play chess, and then when after the game, I'm going to go kill myself. Does that make sense to anybody in this room right now? Anyone? Anybody? Okay? This was an educated man. He had a master's degree at a seminary college. Okay? He was a motivational speaker. This means to be a motivational speaker, to motivate other people, to encourage other people. You have to be able to encourage yourself. Okay? Was he angry? Yes. He had every right to be. Was he brokenhearted? Yes, he had every right to be. Was he disappointed? Yes, he had every right to be. But that does not make him suicidal, people. You're going to tell me that this is a man who went from being in the military, physical fitness galore. He was in excellent shape, gets to a car accident, loses his ability to walk and to move, is wheelchair bound, and that wasn't enough to make him suicidal? The loss of Susie is going to make him suicidal? Give me a break. If he had no family, and if he had nobody to lean on, if he had no children, I'd say maybe. But this is not fitting. His sister and his mother would go to his home on a regular basis to cook for him and to clean for him. He already had a support system. He had 2 children that he loved, a relationship with Jesus Christ. There are just too many things that say, no, Chris Skinner did not do this to himself. You want a smoking gun? Here's your smoking gun. The police department practically handed it to you. They're telling you he's sitting upright in a chair that was waterproof, made to be around the water, and had the ability to stand up straight. Why didn't he? Why would he be pulling his head up? Why not press a button, whoop, and stand up straight? You're in 5 feet of water. Chris was obviously taller than 5 feet tall. So why didn't he? Because it was overridden. No, the app to the chair and remote control was not used, because that would be evidence. It had to have been hacked. It would have, and this explains why Eric Tetro, when earlier this year was questioned by the Skinner family to give an interview, he snapped at Tamara, at the Skinner family, was nasty, said nasty things to them, responded nasty, and was nasty. Why? Because he's defensive. Because he knows he's in big trouble. That's why. I told you, every time you look at the intent of a person, you'll find the evidence. And there it is. They thought this was going to be nice and neat. Now, why is Micah gone? Because Micah must have found out about this and was ready to spill the beans. They did exactly to Micah what they did to Chris. And this is why you've got a deputy coroner in place who has no training and doesn't need to have training. She's just there to protect these people from going to jail. That's her job. That's what she gets paid for. Sharon, he landed upright, and that's the only way that he could have been able to try to get air. I just explained it. It's in the incident report that he was trying to get air. It shows it on the video footage. They say it. It's their words. So, of course, he was upright. He was upright in the water. I don't know, just me, but I'll tell you what, the FBI will find out. Okay, I'm sorry, Sharon. I didn't know that. Okay, I didn't know that. But that's what happened, yes. And that was the whole point of me telling that, is because he was upright. So he was able to press that button and make that chair stand up. Why didn't he? Do we know she did spill the beans? Well, Cindy, you know, it's funny because if you recall Regina Ward, I know I've said this a few times, but now we can put it all together. It's nice when you have all the puzzle pieces. Regina Ward had said in one of the interviews, I think it was Fitz News, Callie's here, so she might be able to confirm that for me, that she had to go before the grand jury, federal grand jury, before John Paul Miller was raided. And if that's the case, she had said, I had to give all evidence from that pertained to Micah Miller. So if Micah had spilled the beans to Regina that she knew about this, that would be part of that. The grand jury would know. Who would teach JP how to hack a game controller, a kid that borrows his four-wheeler? Matthew, it's already been proven that John Paul Miller has technical understanding. I've already explained it a number of times that in the Forbes 2016 article about this guy having his wheelchair hacked, it took 5 minutes to do it. And you can control it from a game controller, from a laptop, from any device you choose. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult for somebody who is computer savvy. Okay, and we know from various people that John Paul Miller and this media guy, John Paul, if we're actually going to believe what John Paul says, then we are fooling ourselves. Of course he's going to say that. Of course he's going to claim he has no understanding. Remember, this is the same guy who said, I don't understand social media. Meanwhile, he's got 25 different accounts with him as men, women, who knows what, playing different flying monkeys. And he's been found out almost every time. He's very computer savvy. And I've already had inside people confirm that for me. That's why they walk. Why would the FBI walk out with 3, 4, 5 different computers? Why would he have 3 different cell phones? Why would they walk out with all of that equipment if this man was not computer savvy? Please explain that to me. You don't really need to learn, Matthew, how to. If your computer set, okay, let me put it this way. Let me explain it again. For example, the media guy, my husband was a media guy for a church. You have to have computer understanding. You just have to. His attorney has AI understanding. He makes that very clear in his website. This guy with the bald head, he's the media guy. He has understanding. He's tech savvy, obviously, or he wouldn't be able to control that digital soundboard. Okay. Veronica, I'm not talking to Matthew in any way. I'm getting annoyed because I've explained it 5,000 times already. Okay. I'm not doing this because it's fun for me. I'm doing this because I'm looking for justice. If I sound grouchy, don't listen to me. Don't listen to my show. I'm the same person I've always been. Okay. If we honestly believe that John Paul Miller is not tech savvy at this point, then I don't know what I can tell you to get you to believe it. He's tech savvy. And I can't bring out into the open the people that have told me what he's capable of doing because I promised I would protect them, and they could get in a lot of trouble. That's all I could say. That's all I could say. But it's been proven. And like I said, the FBI walked out with all of these different computer devices and computers. And if somebody is not tech savvy, they're not going to have 1 million devices in their house. Okay. This is exactly what John Paul Miller wants. He wants us all attacking each other so we're not looking at the person who's really responsible for this. And that's John Paul Miller and Susie Skinner. And they're very good at incorporating other people to do their dirty work. Listen, money talks and BS walks. I'm not treating anybody like crap, Veronica. I'm not looking to get into a fight. If you're unhappy with the way I'm talking, then the best thing to do is just not listen. That's all I can tell you. I've always talked like this. There's no difference in how I talk. I'm not going to get into a fight on my show. I'm just not doing it. Okay? Okay, well, I'm not looking to attack anybody, but I have explained it from the very beginning. I even read the incident reports. We watched that raid go on November 1st, 2024. We watched for hours those guys walking out with computer after computer after computer. We know that he has stolen Micah's computer. We've seen him go through phones. This is not a guy who doesn't have technological understanding. And he's surrounded by people who have technological understanding. I'm sorry if I don't feel good and in the midst of pain and suffering that I'm bringing this forward and I don't sound as wonderful and fabulous as everybody wants me to, but I'm trying to prove something. I don't get paid for this. Okay. I don't even get patted on the back for it. I get more aggravation than I do anything else. And then I got to be attacked in my own chat because I'm not speaking the way people want me to speak. I'm sorry, but if I'm offending people, the best thing to do is just don't listen. Don't listen. No, Matthew, I understand. He is surrounded by people who are tech savvy. But I believe he himself is very tech savvy. John Paul, very tech savvy. And, you can always figure out when John Paul is trying to get you to believe something that's not true. He tells you something else. Okay, for example, he's done this before in interviews. He said it about social media. And then we knew that he was behind most of these social media accounts, or it's him himself. Listen, let me tell you, I'm going to tell you what I was told without having to give away the person. Now, of course, the feds took all of that stuff. So this was before the feds did what they did. This was over the summer of 24. He has a room that is dedicated. It's like monitors. It looks like, I can't even explain it. If somebody could come up with an explanation of what it would look like. It's multiple monitors and computers going, and he's like a mad scientist kind of. I don't know how to explain it. One of those typical gamer, like a newsroom, exactly. And this is somebody who really knows what he's doing. You guys have got to forgive me. I almost didn't come on today because of the way I feel. Command station, exactly. Full social media room, totally. I don't feel well, and I should have waited, but I did not want to wait on this because when I had seen what was in that incident report, it proved that he was sitting up. It proved that he was gasping for air and trying to save himself. It proved that there is footage that they've kept from us. They kept footage from us showing him going around that pool. Why? Why? Because they're trying to protect him. It's very simple. That deputy coroner was put into place, and I believe the coroner himself too, not just her, but she's part of it because she was the one who was running these investigations. I don't really think she cared about what the detectives had to say. I don't think she cared about what was on the videos. I don't think she cared about questioning anybody. Remember, they claim that there was witness statements within that incident report. There's not one. There's not one. The only witness statements I have in that whole folder and file was of the ones from 2025, and that was from reopening the case. This is not from the original. Okay? We also don't have the footage of him going, yet she says there's footage. She says it. She says, I watched him go around the pool. So she's claiming, unless she was there before he died, which would also be really bad, but she's claiming she saw on video him. I'm saying it's she because I think it was a woman that was that detective Soud or Soud, whatever it is, watched him go around the pool. I know you are, Veronica. Listen, if you guys don't know me by now, I'm loud. I'm from New York. I'm Italian. I'm always in pain. I'm always annoyed. I want to choke John Paul Miller till his eyes pop out of his head. I want to beat the crap out of Susie Skinner in the parking lot. You know, guys, that I love you more than my luggage. But when I feel passionate about something, I get like, oh my God, just watch Sopranos and you'll figure it out. I don't know. It's like, when did you ever meet a quiet Italian from New York? Have you ever come across any of them? Because I don't know anybody. You know, and when I get like, I feel like in our hands, we've got the evidence. We're referred to as quarterback. What was it again? Quarterback. Armchair quarterback investigators. Yet meanwhile, back at the ranch, have we not proven at this point that he did not kill himself? I hate to think that Chris is going to be left with the legacy of taking his own life when it's not true. I love Veronica too. I love Matthew as well. I love all of you guys. This has nothing to do with it. Trust me, I would fight for you this hard if I had to. And when I say fight, I'm touchy all the time. But, I'm doing this in, see, I was married to a Jewish man from New York. They're just as bad. There's no difference between a Jew and an Italian from New York. We all sound the same. What's funny is you could meet somebody who's Irish or German from New York and they can be quiet, but it's something about the Italians and the Jewish people. We have one volume, loud. And it's okay. I'm in agony right now, if you guys had any clue, but I want this to get out there. I want this to get out there because I want these son of a bitches to be arrested and, as BoobTube puts it, convicted. Not just arrested, I want convictions. And I'm telling you, it's more than just these two people. They have been able to incorporate a group of people to help them. I was talking to somebody this morning. I don't want to say who it is, unless they give me the permission. And they made such a good point about Johnny Jacobs. And I don't know if I feel bad for this guy or I'm angry at this guy. I get this. When I remember looking at his background, this guy never even got a ticket, maybe a couple, but he was never in trouble. Johnny Jacobs, I'm talking about. And when people are having a hard time financially, you get a snake like John Paul Miller who comes around with money and says, hey, brother, I got some money for you if you could just do this one little thing. Oh, yeah, sure. What do you need me to do? And then they give him money to hold on to somebody's purse or belongings. Here, you hold on to this and then deliver it to this spot at this time. And if you're ever questioned, this is the story. This is the narrative. Okay, no problem. And then in the aftermath finds out what it is and goes, oh my God, what did I get myself involved in? And if he opens up his mouth, well, he's as good as gone. I really believe that he was about to get immunity and give people up, and this is why we don't have Johnny with us anymore. That's how serious this is. John Paul Miller has mentioned chess plenty of times. He tried to pull that crap on Micah. Look at Callie. God bless her. This is Callie Lyons from Fitz News, everybody, by the way. The volunteers who devote their time to looking into this case know much more about it and have spent much more time with it than the deputy coroner who gets paid to make decisions about it. She's absolutely right. She's absolutely right. Exactly. Well, that's my point. I have a text message, and which I can't really figure out. Maybe I should play that eventually. And it's a conversation. Now, why give me the text message? Why give me all of the, there was photos of the chair and stuff like that, but not give me the footage of him going around the pool? What are you trying to hide? Oh, yeah, the FBI has all of it. The FBI would insist on having all of it. I'm telling you, like I said yesterday, this woman was put into place, the deputy coroner, to protect people like John Paul Miller and Susie. And I think that John Paul had a lot to do with the narrative of 2021. They met. Well, are you talking about Micah with the pawn shop? Because I really believe. Remember when me and McLovin talked about the ammo that she bought that day? No, it's not the pawn shop. It's the gas station. The gas station has the white and the black numbers or whatever you call it on the timestamp, and that always bothered me. I feel like that timestamp was messed with or something. I don't know. That's very hard to prove. I'm sure the FBI can prove it, though. But with this, what I feel like we've accomplished this morning, at least going over that incident report, is A, we've been able to prove that there was footage of Chris going around and they saw it. He did go right to the chessboard. So again, that does not fit the narrative of somebody who's looking to kill himself. If he was really looking to end his life, he's not going to go to the chessboard. He's not going to meet with somebody. He's not going to say, I'm here to meet with somebody. Okay? He's just going to ask the neighbor to get into the pool and go do his thing and get it over with. Okay? The other thing is we can prove now that he was sitting upright. And so the fact that he was sitting upright, why didn't he make himself stand upright? Even if we were to say, well, it is a waterproof chair, but to be submerged in the water, it could really make it to where it doesn't work anymore. I would think that maybe within the first minute or two, it would have worked. It wouldn't have taken that long to get waterlogged. And if it was that waterlogged, how were they able to donate it shortly after his death? it wouldn't have been no good. We can't have it both ways. We can't say the chair was so waterlogged it wouldn't work, but after the fact, it was able to be donated. What? So, you know, I feel like we have the answers in our hands, just like with Micah. I remember hearing about that, but do you mean somebody on Facebook attacking her? Because she's gotten a lot of that. Is that what you're talking about? I remember the picture of Sloozy playing chess. That I do remember. Oh, it was on Facebook. Yeah, I've seen there have been some really nasty, but again, just like that Eric Tetro who's mentioned in this incident report, he was very nasty to her. Why? Why would you be nasty? Why wouldn't you want to help? If this was your neighbor and your friend, I'm talking about Chris, and I'm talking about this Eric Tetro. Oh, another attacker. So here we go. Cindy Jones. I quit watching you because you talk down to your viewers and act like you are so much smarter than everyone. I usually don't make comments at all, but I'm going to call it like I see it. Well, Cindy, you know what? Go start your own show then, sweetheart. Go start your own show. You know, if you feel like you can do better and you can add some sort of value to any of these cases and helping seek justice, go start your own show, girl. But if you can't do that, then shut the hell up, because what you're bringing to the table is drama. You're a drama lover. And people like you are useless. You could have said this to me in private, but you felt like if you said it in the chat, it's going to make you look like you're so brave and you've got something important to say. But what you're saying is that you're stupid. You have really nothing to add to the situation except that you needed to be heard. Veronica was defending Matthew. Veronica and Matthew and I and other people happened to be in a group chat together. Thank you, Robin. Working together. They know me enough to know that I'm blunt and I'm harsh and I'm truthful. Okay? Veronica stuck up for Matthew the way she would stick up for me if somebody was snapping at me. And now we've gotten past it. And of course, you come in with your, I don't know what, you're probably a flying monkey. So everybody ignore Cindy. She's probably licking the boots of John Paul Miller. Okay, so let's move on to more important things. Yes, I saw a lot of people like Cindy attacking Tamra. And I really do believe that they're just, I think the same flying monkeys, they just take on new names. His stinky toes. Oh God, now I got a picture of those horrible toes. Thanks, just Robin. Now I'm like nauseous. And I'm sorry. Yeah, I do get really hard on people. I get really harsh, but as Veronica is saying right here, this is a very highly emotional, triggering case. We've been at this for over 1.5 years. I know you do, Matthew, and I love you too. The Long Island attitude always gets me in trouble, but that's okay. Let me tell you something. These people work tirelessly. I see it. I wake up in the middle of the night to do the online protest because I don't sleep like a normal person, having for over 25 years. And I'll still see Matthew and Veronica and everybody in that group still working on some sort of evidence that they found regarding Mike and Chris. It never ends. This is a thankless job. We get made fun of by people like Cindy who come into your chat and put you down for the way you talk, or you get attacked by flying monkeys, or you've got, law enforcement that suck, that make fun of you and make you feel bad. No, there's nothing easy about speaking the truth. And so, unfortunately, you got this New Yorker with this harsh attitude who comes along, some of the sweetest sounding Southerners, and I sound like, a bulldozer with words. Yeah. And they told on themselves yeah. Okay, so that picture of Chris and so here's Tamara. The picture of Chris and Susie at the chessboard was taken 20 years ago. Well, it's obvious that Chris knew how to, Pam's laughing, how to play chess. I mean, he was being invited. I don't think it was by Susie. I think, oh, come on, guys. We know who invited him. We know who invited him. Yes. And I agree with you on that, Callie, but you know what? I want them to be like fully ready, really ready, like to take these people down, and not just Susie and John Paul, everybody they're affiliated with, because they got help in this with both Chris and Micah. So yeah, I know Beach Bell. Oh, well, Truth Drip. I'll let Truth Drip tell you who she is. I don't want to say who she. I might have given her away already. It was in his book. Oh, does Chris have a book? I'd love to see that. I would love to see that. Okay, so let's just recap and then we can go. So recap, and I just want you to know I shared the videos and the incident reports and everything that I got in the FOIA with somebody that I really trust. It's a he. I asked him to look it over and tell me if I missed anything. Am I not seeing something? Do you see something that's not been mentioned? And who knows? You never know what he may find. Oh, I thought that was Chris's book. Yeah, it's Chris's book, Charity. You think John Paul Miller? It's Chris's book. So recap. So we know that there's footage of him going towards the chess. They said coming into the area, going to the chess sets. They don't really specify how long he was there, but long enough to where they see him then leave that area. And she says, her words, goes around the pool. I find that to be interesting, going around the pool. And then he makes his way to that curve. This is where we see him in the second video. Now, don't forget, and I want to just throw this in, remember the guy who's standing at the gate recording Chris being taken out of the pool. Okay? I want you to remember that. Because that is important. Why was he doing that? This is why I say there was a group effort going on. And then and I'm going by their words now, okay? They claim that he goes into where that curve is, stops, and then goes almost like lunges forward. They're the way they worded it, and I'm sorry if I forgot the exact words, but as they put it, goes fast forward into the water. And then he gets into the water, and he's obviously sitting up in the chair, and he's putting his head up as if he's trying to get air. So that proves he's sitting up in the chair, which makes sense because the motor, to the chair is very, very heavy. I think the chair fully, I think I said this yesterday, was about 500 pounds, give or take. It's a very heavy chair, but the heavy, heavy part of it is I want to call it engine, but I don't think that's the right thing to call it. The mechanical part of it, which is at the bottom of the chair. So it makes sense that it would land that way. And then he's in there for 40 minutes, they claim. And this neighbor named Nancy calls 911, and they pull him out. The chair ends up being donated. Motor, thank you, Crystal. Then the chair gets donated after It was picked up by somebody. I said the name, but I don't know who that person is. I never heard that name before. But Susie was the one who made sure that it was picked up by this person. It is absolutely the most expensive part. Yeah. And which leads me to think there's no way that they would have used, let's say the people that did this to him, there was no way that they would use the actual app. They would know better. Being tech savvy, they would know we better not use the app and the remote control, because if we do, then the system might record it. And the authorities, especially the feds, if they get involved, if you're smart enough, you're going to think ahead. We don't want to leave any traces. So I wouldn't use anything, that would trace. So let's hack it. And somebody, I think it was Matthew, or somebody had asked, how would he know how to hack it? Matthew, I'm telling you, if it was Matthew, I'm not sure if it was him who asked it. Just quickly Google. Now, of course, this is 2021, so there might be a little bit less, but just try it. Google how to hack an electronic wheelchair. You will be shocked at how much stuff comes up. Reddit was filled with all kinds of information on how to do it. Of course. And then naturally there was all kinds of articles and, websites I've never seen before in my life, but they were all geek related websites that had all this information. So I don't think it would be that difficult to find. Now, I'll tell you what, I'm praying that this is what the feds are going to find. Somebody searching, that's usually how people get found out in court, And remember, they took off with all his computers. If they find somebody was searching on how to hack a wheelchair, that would be like a smoking gun, I would assume. I don't know. Oh, is that what Matthew was saying? A kid could help him? I'll tell you what, there's no lie in that, because okay, well, I guess, what the hell, it's just family. I've got a 10-year-old in my family that would know how to do it. Easy peasy. And the way that these guys explained it, let me see if I can find the article real quick. We're not that far into this hour. Let me see if I can find it. If I can find it real fast, then I'll read it to you, because I did see it at 5 o'clock this morning. Yep, I found it. Okay. So it was this guy let me control his hacked wheelchair with an Xbox game pad. Okay, yeah, that was a video, so that's why it kept jumping in front of me. Let me see if I can get. It was an $8,000 power chair, which would twitch into action and then stop. We noticed a man hiding in the corner, his face lit by a laptop, and if you looked at him at a right angle, his thumb was fiddling with the Xbox 360 controller concealed behind his back. I'm trying to find where they talk about how it was done so easily. Okay, I convinced him to let me play with the thing, meaning wheelchair. We went backstage to a less cluttered area, as he was anxious about me controlling the device using the attack code. So I guess this is what they look to do, attack code. He feared that if something went wrong and we hurt him, or an unfortunate passerby, there would be some awkward liability issues. Ignoring the temptation to cause chaos, I submitted. But, and just bear with me, I'm just reading it out. But if you think I'd have any compunction about controlling a hacked wheelchair with a guy sitting in it, you'd be wrong. There I was, happily twirling the joystick on the Xbox pad, spinning the 23-year-old Chavez around, sending him along the corridor and reversing him toward the walls. I chose not to cause any collisions, only out of fear of giving him a heart attack. So they're playing around with the chair. And if you notice here, let me just read that to you one more time. There I was, happily twiddling with the joystick on the Xbox pad, spinning the 23-year-old around. That's the guy in the wheelchair. Setting him along the corridor and reversing him toward the walls. If you can picture that in your head for a moment. Think of the control that you have over that chair. He's got him going down a hallway and then backing up towards the wall. I was able to mess with Chavez was the name of the guy in the wheelchair because the security on the wheelchair sucked. I've read this. Wheelchair security, you can have it, but you got to be able to turn it on. And most people don't. According to Chavez, who's a computer science student at Metropolitan State University of Denver, he hacked his own wheelchair by hooking up a Raspberry Pi 3 and a PiCan 2 CAN bus board that allowed him to communicate with the chair's onboard network. They also allowed him and Spectre to funnel exploits from a remote PC or phone to connect to the chair and start controlling it. Now, somebody has said that to me before. You don't necessarily even have to have a game controller. You could have a phone. You could have a laptop. There are other things that you can use to control a wheelchair. And this is what they're saying here. All the required equipment can be bought for less than $100. The software tools are free, but the coding skills required take years of investment. So you have to understand coding. Now you may say, oh, forget about it. You got to be like, a very well-educated person. Not true. My brother-in-law codes for KLM Airlines. He hasn't done a day in college. Let me repeat that again. My brother-in-law does coding for KLM Airlines, and he hasn't done one day in college. Eric was the one being defensive, yes. Eric is the bald-headed guy. Okay. Now it says to hack the joystick, the researchers found that if they could force a system error, the chair would shut down the stick, presumably as a protection mechanism. But they found the network continued listening for messages, would accept their commands, and allowed them to move the chair. So this is a security issue with the chair. Yeah, that's right, Veronica. They did. That's exactly where I learned a little bit of it myself. It really boils down, they're saying here in this article, to no security in the chair. Okay? And then, I don't know if you guys remember, I was putting up various videos of hacked wheelchairs and what they were doing and how they were controlling it, and the guy was sitting in it. The thing is that what happened was, and it does explain in the article, when the guy hacked the wheelchair, the guy in the chair no longer could control the chair. You know what I mean? He could no longer do anything. And that was my whole point. If Chris was sitting up and he's in the water and he's reaching his head up to try to get air, and he knows, hey, I'm in the chair that stands up, and we don't know if he was trying to push that button or get that lever to work, he's not going to be able to get it to work because it's being overridden. And that's the beauty of hacking it. I'm not saying that's a beautiful thing to do. I'm just saying that's what if you're looking to do this to somebody, that would be how you would do it. Yeah, I should have said, Charity, I should have said Eric is the bald-headed guy. The one that's walking around with the thing in his hand that looks like a remote. But again, this article is letting us know, and I didn't even realize it till I just read it now, that it doesn't necessarily have to even be a game controller. It could be a phone, it could be a laptop. It could be any device, as long as you know what you're doing. And that's really what matters, is that you know what you're doing. The amount of equipment that you would need, the guy was saying, is less than $100 and easy to come by. So let's see, what is Susan saying here? If Susie thought it was an accident, one, she would question if it malfunctioned. Good one, would demand fully inspected. Brought up with the law enforcement, never donated it until knew it was okay. Sued manufacturer. Good point. Yeah, that's what we would do, Susan, because we're normal. No, it did not. And that's what I'm saying. It doesn't, I always thought it was kind of speculation that we thought he went to go there to play chess. And it's not like I haven't read this incident report before, but it's like when you read something again for the second time and you go, I didn't see that before. And that's exactly what happened this morning. Mind you, I've been up since 1:30, so it's another reason why I'm snarky today. And I saw that and went, oh my God, they're saying here in another video footage that we don't have, that they saw him go to the chess sets. Well, I don't know, guys. I've been depressed before, not to the point where I would want to end it, but I was pretty close. I don't remember wanting to play a board game before going. I never thought of that. Yeah, we stay tired, Veronica. It's true. And coffee don't help. But does that make sense to anybody? I mean, not to me. So I just don't get it. He was defensive. I think he knew what was going to happen that morning. Yeah, Charity, it's okay. I just got medication this morning. I said I'm going to do the show first, and then I'm going to eat something, take medication, and lay down. I can't even move my neck right now. That's how bad it is. And they won't do anything about it. I'm not trying to complain to you guys about my problems, but they just won't do anything about it. They can't. There's nothing else to put metal in. That's it. There's no more left in my neck. I'm like Frankenstein over here. Defensive. Yeah, that's how he responded when everybody earlier this year was being asked, hey, would you give an interview to the police? And they were just being asked, would you give an interview to the police in regards to what you know about what happened to Chris that day? He jumped down Tamara's throat. Exactly. That's right. Well, we remember that with Micah. They said the same thing about her playing chess with a demon or whatever. Well, this is what I'm talking about. John Paul always gives you a little bit of truth with his lies. Yeah, she was playing chess with a demon, all right. And wanting to meet up with somebody. Exactly. And if you're saying this in the incident report, and this Eric guy is the one who said that he said that, it wouldn't make any sense. The narrative they were trying to push that day was accident. Remember that. Thank you, Charity. Accident is what they want believed. Why? Now, if Chris had like a $5 million life insurance policy, we could say, okay, that's why they wanted the money. But it doesn't seem to be coming out that this was a money issue. I did get it. And sometimes I can handle it. And then sometimes I feel like I feel like it hurts in where the metal is. So the vibration thing, it's called the vibration plate. It's wonderful when you're feeling okay, but when you're in pain, you want to just rip all your limbs off. And I'm sorry, guys. I wanted to get this information out. I felt like it was important. Accident, yes, equals life insurance. And so I think it's more than that. If you put into perspective the witness that came forward finally with the conversation in the garage about John Paul wanting to remote control the chair, and then 2 weeks before Chris passes away, he tells John Paul, stay away from my wife and kids. There was also one of the truth drips had talked about, and I can't remember which one it was, maybe a truth drip, if they're still here, will say that Chris was even sort of a threat in exposing what a fraud John Paul was as a pastor, because he cherry-picked the Bible. That's what it was. He cherry-picked the word, which we all agree on. He does cherry-pick the word. And so that makes another threat. I mean, this is his front. The church is John Paul's front for all of his criminal activities. If somebody's going to, especially somebody like Chris, who has a master's degree in a seminary college, this is a guy who knows the Bible from the beginning to the end. If anybody's going to expose John Paul for being a fraud, this is the perfect guy, So it's okay, guys. You'd think I'd be used to it by now. It's been 20 years, you just never get used to it. I think the most frustrating thing for me is they put all this metal in there, and now they turn around and now they're putting in rubber, like in between the cartilage now. They're not doing metal anymore. And I mean, listen, I'm not looking to go through those surgeries again to put, plastic in there or whatever it is, a rubber. But you think they would have offered that? I mean, I had these surgeries in, from 2013 to 2019. It wasn't like I had it done 20 years ago. It hasn't been that long ago. It was like right after I had my last surgery. All of a sudden, they started using the rubber, and it just pisses me off. I'm not going to have them redone to fix it. I just have to live with it. But if I could give you an idea of what it feels like bone rubbing against metal. And so it makes it very difficult for me to move my neck. And, it's hard. I took what Matthew said personally, and I jumped all over him, and I shouldn't have. And Matthew knows I love him more than my luggage. But the other chick, she comes in, you're harsh on the people in your audience. Da-da-da. Well, then, sit in my chair, dude. Sit in my chair. I think about Chris and Micah every day. And I know Veronica, and I know Matthew, and I know the rest of these people that cover this feel exactly the same way. Day and night. Chris and Micah and Chris. Constant. And I can't walk away from it. I can't go and start something anew. I haven't even worked on music. Because I am not going to feel any peace until I get this. I see justice, and I know that's exactly how they feel. It's 24/7. You think of something new and you want to go on live. Okay, I want to share this and I want to share that. So there's a goal here, and the goal is to see these people get the justice they deserve. And it's not just Chris and Micah, it's their families. We live with this every day too. Oh, I love when Susan comes up with this stuff. She remembers everything. Tamara said JP had man from church stay with their family whole day. That's right. Does anybody know? I wonder if it's the guy who's mentioned in the incident report. Let me see. Instead of bringing it up, let me see if I can find it. That's a great point. Let me see if I can find the name of that guy. It is in the incident report. Okay. Robert Raff, R-A-F-F. Does that sound familiar to anybody? Veronica, Matthew, you want to look into that guy? Robert Raff, R-A-F-F. The victim's belongings were released to a Robert Raff, who is the victim's friend. Raff, yep, R-A-F-F. Mm-hmm. And it was released per the victim's wife. And it was given to him on September 7th, 2021. I'm going to assume that the belongings include the wheelchair. I mean, I feel it's safe to assume. Could this also be the same guy, as Susan Lee is pointing out, was with the family the whole day. And I remember Tamara saying it was kind of uncomfortable for them to have this guy sitting there. Okay, here. I've spoken to him since. He is a nice guy, and he's told me everything I needed to know about the chair. Okay. So then this is probably a decent person, if she's saying that. Do you know any hospitals doing the new plastics rubber? I have several levels of you. Emory is one, Emory. Susan, are you in Florida? If you're in Florida, I have a doctor for you, but he's in Fort Lauderdale. He is the best. No, Veronica. Susan, you know what? Here, email me. Let me put my email in here. Susan, take down my email if you don't have it. Let me put it this way. If I lived in Gainesville, I would go to this guy anyway. I would make the trip. He's that good. He's that good. And she can even tell him I sent, if it's a woman, send her to him, Dr. McRoberts. He is the best. I actually, from Georgia, tried to see him, and I couldn't because he's not able to see Georgia patients. I don't know. It's some sort of stupid insurance thing. Okay. He is a former elder of the church. He was very open and willing to give info to me. So can we assume, here, this is for you, Susan. So, Tamara, can we assume that this elder is no longer involved with Solid Rock or involved with John Paul Miller? Is it safe to assume that? Because I'm weary of people that still go and listen to this guy preach. Can also go to Tennessee. Is she in Tennessee or is she in Florida? I know, I thought you were in Florida, so I just assumed they were in Florida. Okay, well, then that, okay. Okay, Robert Rath is good. Everybody don't. Okay, you know, ER longer in Tennessee is amazing. Is that the name of a hospital? You need new surgery. Okay, so here's my email. Look, Susan, look at the, if you could see the screen, there's my email. If you're in Florida, if you need new surgery, contact me. I have a doctor for you. I have a really good doctor. And this is a guy who does do the plastics. So just so you know. And if you can get that done with the plastics, God bless you, because you won't have to go, praise God, you're in Florida. Okay. Contact me, please, and I will set you up with Dr. McRoberts. He's totally worth it. I want to ask Truth Strip something. Is she still here, right? Or is there any more stuff you're going to be putting out? Just out of curiosity. Just wondering. Because, you know, I wait, I look for it every day. Veronica, the Raft guy's okay. You back down. Yeah. Yeah, don't go after the Raft guy. I did learn that right after Chris passed, when the pastor put Chris on screen and called S Hot Mama, the elders held a meeting with JP to call him out. That's why JP removed that clip from sermon. He, you know, he is a psycho, man. John Paul, that is. He is a psycho. Allie said, did you get that email, Susan? Because I want to put up what Allie wrote. Did you get the email? Just let me know. She wrote, does anyone remember an article about a nonprofit in Myrtle Beach that provided or provides wheelchairs that can go on the beach, etc.? They weren't loaners, but given to people or mode affordable. I don't remember anything. I don't even know if we know where the chair went, but I would assume that the feds were able to track down that chair. And again, I'm not savvy in regards to these things. But I would again assume that the feds would be able to at least see that the chair was hacked. Oh, good. More truth drips coming. Very good. The chair was on a GoFund. Veronica? The chair was being given away like that? It's crazy. Oh, okay. All right. She was responding to Allison. All right. So, guys, so we recapped. Okay, so you know where I stand on this. You know that I feel like this was done to Chris. Nothing really sits well with me in regards to him going there, wanting to play chess, telling somebody he's meeting somebody there. You know, I know somebody could argue and say, well, he said that to the neighbor so he can get in. That's it's because of who the neighbor is. That'd be stretching it. There's footage that's missing. So once again, that shows that the police department is hiding something. The deputy coroner, I believe, was placed there so that she could protect these people. We've seen Tamara, Chris's sister, prove that this woman talks out of both sides of her mouth. And why? When you've got nothing to hide, you have no reason to lie. This woman has been caught lying multiple times. So it's obviously she's got something to hide. And so if you take what we see in from the 2021 incident report and supplemental report, and then you see what's going on here, that just proves to you something is being hidden. And that should be enough for all of us to go, all right, we're on the right track. Yes, the petition. Let me bring that up. Thank you for reminding me. Let me get that. And I'm going to put it in the chat. Hold on, guys. I'm looking here. I just want to get it the right one because there's a new website that has everything you need, including the petition on it. And Tamara had asked me to share this one. I have to put this also on. Created a class. If you want to look for it, I will pin it up on the top. Okay. All right, let me put this over here so you guys can see it. Let me go back to StreamYard and let me add it so you can look at it. All right. And here we go. And so you stand up SC. Now again, this is you do not, let me accept. You do not have to be in South Carolina or only a South Carolina resident to sign this petition. Please sign this petition no matter where you are located. She's mad at you for a recording. Well, you know what? If it was the truth, she wouldn't be so mad. She wouldn't mind. She'd say, record me. Right. It's worldwide. So you can, anybody, anywhere, at any time, just sign it and you will be helping. I think we're at 1,100 and something signatures at this point. After the show, I will have this link for anybody who hasn't signed the petition to sign it. If you have signed it, please share it and get this petition signed. And as I said, there's other things on here that you could go over. She's got the Law and Crime YouTube. She's got WBTW Channel 13 on here regarding Sister of Man Who Drowned in 2021, directly connected to the John Paul Michael Miller case. She's got the WBTW Channel 13, Horry County Chief Deputy Coroner questioned as mysteries swirl around high-profile cases. Robbie Harvey's tribute to Chris Skinner. And then what's on the petition and what goes through the petition here, where to sign the petition again. And then truth drips. And so you have all these truth drips that you can watch and, of course, go to the actual truth drip channel. How to contact with emails and phone numbers. And so it's chock full of information on how to help fight all kinds of, audio, news, the petition, all kinds of things here. How many signatures? How can I see that? If I click this, would I be able to see? Let me see. 1,237. Let me show that to you because you guys deserve to see that. La. There you go. And it's also for justice for Scott Spivey as well. So when you're signing that petition, isn't that wonderful? You are standing up for people who've really been unjustly. They have not been treated well within this area, and I dread to think that there's much more than just Scott Spivey, Chris Skinner, and even Micah. They failed Micah. So this would help a great deal. As I said, after the show, I'm going to make sure. Look at Miner's comment. Is that at the bottom of this? Is there one specific one? I could read them along if you like. Is that what you guys want me to do? Miner's comment. Is there a specific comment you want me to read, or do you want me to read them? Oh, okay. View all comments. Oh, look at that open up. Oh, I'm glad you guys can see it. Miner. Is that what is that the name it's under? Oh, really? All right. And it's going to say Miner 60. I don't see. Is there a name that I'm looking for, Veronica? I feel like I'm missing something here. Oh, in the YT chat. What a bonehead. I'm sorry, guys. All right, let's look for what he wrote. All right. Why in the hell would you record a dead man being pulled from the pool? Also, where was the man who let Chris in the pool after Chris entered? How many entrances to the pool? I think there's 3 entrances. If I'm not mistaken, if I'm wrong, somebody please correct me on that. I think it's 3. The guy who let Chris into the pool is Eric, the one with the bald head that looks like he's walking around with the remote in his hand. We could look at the pool. Do you guys want to look at? I'm sitting here this long. I might as well. If you want to look at the pool, we can. Let me see if I can get that for you. No, I need a photo. Sub it. I think it was an image, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Chris Skinner. Image of the pool. I really thought I do have it. Okay. So let me see. I don't know if we could tell from this vantage point. I don't think this is going to show us. But see that middle part? See that very middle part? That's where Chris was. We have video. You have video? 4 entrances. Okay, that makes sense. So Veronica, is it top, bottom, left, right? Is that where these entrances are? Yes. The man who let Chris in was the same man who was later holding hands with Susie, running back and forth. Yes. Yes, he's the insurance agent. Yes, that is exactly who it is. Okay. I don't. So maybe this is not a good vantage point to make that point. But Veronica is saying, Mr. 60 Minor, that there's 4 entrances. And I'm not really sure which one Chris was let into. I think it's to the left is where he was let in. But I'm not sure. I can't. That would be speculating. The guy who's recording if you're talking about him, I don't even know who he is and what he's doing and why he's recording. And to me, it's very odd for anybody to be doing that. What would the purpose be? I guess, and I hate to say this because it's a horrible thing to say, but it's like, okay, we did it. We got it done. So that's where I feel why he was there taking photos or videoing or doing whatever he was doing. Yeah, and I don't even know who the guy is. I wish we could identify who he is, because that would really explain a lot. So, did you send something, Veronica? Did you like email? Yeah, deed done. Exactly. Yeah, the deed is done. It's good. It's all done. So yeah, that's almost like the feeling you get when seeing what he's doing. And that's at the time where Chris is being pulled out by the fire department. Okay, guys, before I get to a point where I'm not going to be able to, I have no idea, Gratina. I have only somebody in that area would be able to tell us if it was a saltwater pool. I'm not really sure. So, okay, we're on an hour and 32 minutes. Thank you guys for tolerating me, putting up with me, sticking with me throughout this hour and a half. Hopefully, somehow, one way or another, we'll be able to get a hold of that footage from the chess sets to where we see Chris. I wish that I could see the video without the stupid box over his head. And not to be gruesome, but just to get some truth, we'd be able to see where he was at, what was going on with him. But I feel like what we do have between the incident report, the supplemental report, and what we know now, I'm sorry, my heart, I do not feel he did this to himself. It just doesn't make any sense. And when you incorporate that with the chair he was in, what that chair was capable of doing, the conversation with John Paul Miller talking about the remote, I mean, I'm including everything here. The guy, Eric Tetro, and the way he responded to Tamara and his, psycho relationship with Susie. And then Micah, I really believe, figured things out and was ready to spill the beans, and that's why she's now with us. I think it all kind of fits together. And Tatro, not Tardo. Eric Tatro. Yeah, I think I kept calling him Tatro. Okay. Yeah, that guy. And then, okay. If Chris was fooling the guy at the end, I just want to finish off at this. If he was like saying this to this Eric Tatro just to get into the pool area, then why would he go over to where the chess set was and be there for at least a certain amount of time? So he did go there. He did sit and wait. And then all of a sudden he's going around the pool. So we got to take all of that into consideration. If he was going to do what he was going to do and was fooling the guy just to get into the pool, he would have went right to the pool and just got the deed done. But that doesn't seem like what was happening. It looks like he was waiting at the chess place. Nobody showed up. And then all of a sudden, I don't see him deciding all of a sudden at that point, okay, that's it, I'm going to end it. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit. But it does fit the reason why Susie would give him medication that morning to make him sleepy, to make it look like, to fit the narrative of an accident. So I could go on another half hour to an hour on this, you guys, you know that, but I think I better go lay down before I snap at somebody else and get in trouble. Anyway, I love you guys. Thank you for joining. I will be back. I will, as I said, after the show is over, I will put the link to this new stand-up SC. Please make sure, if you haven't signed the petition, that you sign it. Please share it. Don't worry, Veronica, it's all good. And let me just say this. If you can help with the online protests, please do. If you're like, Ann, I'm not savvy, I don't know how to do this kind of stuff, then please keep on the FBI, whether you email them or you call them, do whatever you can do. You can include the DOJ in that as well. You can include the Attorney General's office. You can include SLED in those phone calls. Okay? Just keep on them and make sure that they do their job. So thank you guys for joining me. I will see you soon. Keep your eyes on the Truth Drip channel on YouTube to make sure we keep up with the drips, and I will be back with them. Yes, please tag them too on TikTok. As she said, tag them anywhere you go. Please tag them. So until I see you guys again, please stay safe. Please stay in prayer. Please help with the petition online protests. And God bless.